Today we'll dive into how the Danish Gambit starts and how it unfolds move by move, turning two sacrificed pawns into a full-blown thunderstorm of attacks. We start with e4-e5 standard, friendly, calm. Then comes d4. This is where white says, "I'm not here to trade, I'm here to teach." Black grabs it, and here comes the mad scientist move, c3. We're saying, "Please take another pawn, my treat." And guess what? They do. Beautiful. Now we're down 2 pawns, and the fun begins. If you've ever wanted to lose 2 pawns and still look like a genius, the Danish Gambit is your opening. This is the spirit of the Danish Gambit. White snaps up that offending pawn. And look how fast the development begins. The bishop, the knight, the queen, all ready to jump into action, while black is still busy rearranging pawns like it's spring cleaning. Okay, white's knight takes back the pawn and black develops the knight to c6, a normal move so far. The black knight is covering a lot of ground. Looks like black wants to control the board. Fair enough. Except, well, black hasn't really started developing yet. But check out white's next move. Here comes the bishop. Bishop to c4. And suddenly that diagonal lights up like a runway straight to the king. And here it comes, a very common move. Knight to a5. Black's knight tries to chase the bishop. Even if the bishop drops back to b3, the knight can still chase and trade. But is a5 just a mistake? No, it's a blunder. Here's why. Bishop takes the pawn on a7. Brilliant move. A fearless bishop sacrifice, launched purely for the attack. Take a close look at the position. The king has to take the bishop. There's one other option. Skip the capture and slide to e7. But that's even worse. You lose the queen, and then it's mate soon after. Just look at the upcoming queen and bishop lines. Every move threatens either checkmate or massive material loss. King takes the bishop, and now the fireworks begin. Now take a close look at the next move. You might think the idea is simple. Give a check with the queen, jump to d5 or h5, fork the king and knight, and then grab that unprotected knight. Sounds perfect, right? Well, yes and no. You're right about the check, but not about the knight capture. Queen to d5. Here comes the check. The black king has 2 escape options, e7 and e8, and spoiler, both are terrible. Here, the king might seem tempted to head back to his original square. But hold on. There's much more going on beneath the surface. The king retreats and goes back. Watch closely. Queen to h5, check. The queen isn't taking that free knight, because at this point it's not about material anymore. King to e7! You might be thinking, I see it. Bishop to g5, free queen. Not yet. The knight can still block that. Instead, we go with knight to d5, check. The king has only 2 miserable options here, d6 or e6, and both are bad. The king chooses d6, and now bishop to f4, check. Now the black king is practically forced to move to c6, right into the territory our rook can reach. And remember, we sacrificed that pawn earlier, which means this file is now completely wide open. Rook to c1, check! The king is forced to b5. Now watch this, a discovered attack and a double check as the knight jumps to c7. Both the knight and the queen deliver the blow. Knight to c7, check, a deadly double check from the knight and the queen. The king is forced to b6, and now, the final thunderbolt. Queen to b5, checkmate. The queen finishes the job like a lightning strike. All right, that first version was pure chaos. The bishop sack, the king chase, the lightning bolt finish. But what happens if black tries to defend differently? Let's jump into another variation of the Danish Gambit. White once again sacrifices 2 pawns early, opening the board and bringing both bishops to life instantly. Those long diagonals light up, and the position starts to feel like an ambush waiting to happen. Here, the difference is that instead of capturing the pawn with the knight, white chooses to develop the bishop early, aiming for faster activity and control of the board. Black captures the b-pawn, and the light-squared bishop develops, bringing more pressure and speed to white's setup. Now black gets a chance to develop the kingside bishop and knight, creating active and aggressive pinning ideas. After exchanging the bishop for the knight, black plans to castle soon after, aiming to stay solid and preserve that extra pawn advantage. Take a look at this. Black captures the e-pawn, creating a massive imbalance, 4 black pawns against just 1. The white king is caught in the crossfire, and the white knight is pinned to the king, unable to move. White brings the king to safety with castling, followed by a knight exchange. Now you might be wondering, how is white going to turn this around? Watch this. Black castles, trying to stabilize the position and keep things under control. Knight jumps to d4, attacking the bishop while developing further. White now holds a clear advantage. Just look at the harmony of the 2 bishops, both perfectly aimed at the enemy king. The bishop retreats to c5 for safety, but is it really a safe move or a mistake waiting to be punished? Watch this move closely. The knight dives in, launching an attack straight at Black's castle. It's a bold sacrifice, powered by the full force of both bishops behind it. This is the true spirit of the Danish Gambit. Sacrifice, initiative, and unstoppable pressure. Black can't take with the queen because the bishop controls that line, so they're forced to capture with the g-pawn instead, completely opening up the g-file around their king. The attack continues, and the exposed g-file is now the king's worst nightmare. Queen to g4. Check. The black queen retreats to h8, trying to stay safe, but now, queen to h4. This move is absolutely deadly. Why? Because the bishop is lining up for a devastating fork on the king and queen. The attack just keeps getting sharper. The black bishop rushes into the rescue, trying to shield the queen and protect the pawn, temporarily stopping the fork. But check this move, bishop to d3. The coordination between the bishop and queen is absolutely unstoppable. Game over. The Danish Gambit once again proves that the coordination of both bishops is absolutely priceless, even when several pawns are missing. All right, who's playing this game? Checking the chess database shows that when the Danish Gambit is accepted, the winning rate for white is substantial. Let's take a quick look at a few games to see why. Here's the first game. It starts just like the variation we covered earlier. Once both bishops are perfectly placed, the queen joins the action early, targeting the vulnerable f7 pawn. Black loses the right to castle, and after a stunning rook sacrifice, white delivers a beautiful checkmate. Here's another game, a classic Danish Gambit start where the gambit is fully accepted. Black greedily takes the free pawns, then white sacrifices the bishop to open lines. The knight jumps in with a check, and the d-pawn can't recapture because the queen is under attack. After the sacrifice, black resigns. The next move would lose the queen completely. Here's another game that begins with the same Danish Gambit setup. Pawns sacrificed, bishops perfectly positioned. But this time, black's queen jumps in for an early counterattack before white can castle. The bishop joins the skirmish from b4, forcing the black queen to retreat, and then the fireworks begin. The first bishop sacrifices itself. The black queen steps aside, sensing danger, but the second bishop strikes, cornering the rook. At the same moment, the white knight joins the assault, attacking the queen and delivering a stunning checkmate. If you enjoyed this game breakdown and want more brilliant sacrifices, crushing attacks, and fast checkmates, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss the next episode of Timur's Tactics. Until next time, stay sharp, stay creative, and keep sacrificing for the win.